Okay, so I was asked to shoot this video by a fellow YouTuber. This is about the first time I realized that I could transition from male to female. And the first time I realized was when I was 7 years old. I found out from a television program that people could get sexual reassignment surgery. And I remember my father discussing it in the car on the drive to some place we were going. I don't remember where. I was too wrapped up in my thoughts to remember. But I remember thinking how horrifying it was for somebody to actually change their gender. And probably not for the reason you think, to be honest with you. It wasn't because I thought it was a horrible thing. It was because even at the age of 7 years old, I knew that it wouldn't be accepted by very many people, and that they would most definitely go through bigotry. They would lose family and friends. They would be shunned by a good portion of society. And I knew this not only innately just because I was a smart little cuss, it was also because of the reactions of everybody who was discussing the prospect of changing one's gender. And it left me, I don't know how to say this, it left me without doubt as to how poorly it would be received that I wanted to. Because although I was horrified, I was also completely enthralled by the prospect of being able to change my gender, because I knew even at 7 years old that this was something that I would eventually do. But knowing that I couldn't handle it at such a young age, because I was too young to handle something like this, I opted to suppress for survival. And so that's what I did. I suppressed, and I suppressed very diligently. And I played the role that I was expected to play, and by so doing I was able to survive. But it got to a point where I wasn't able to do that anymore, and I had grown up to an age where I was able to deal with things in a way different way than I was able to as a child. So I got to a point where I told someone, my ex-girlfriend more namely, about me being a woman trapped in a man's body. I actually, after coming out to her, got on the internet looking for a cure, because I figured there must be a cure to this, because I can't be the only one. And what I found was very disheartening. I found that there was no cure except for transition. And that would mean that I would actually lose family and friends and have to suffer that bigotry, because I could no longer survive. I couldn't survive as that person that I had lived as for the majority of my life. I couldn't do it anymore. I had to either find a cure or make a change. And the cure was the actual change. And it was a horrifying experience then too, because I knew that this was going to be something that was very difficult for me to handle, and I wasn't sure how I was going to handle it. But when all the fear and anxieties about coming out, about me making this new body change and new life altering major decision in my, for my future, I was excited, and I was walking on clouds, and I felt like my life had finally been found. And it was almost like a light switch had been turned on, and my heart was full of warm energy and the ability to see life as a beautiful thing, when before I saw it as an angry monster ready to swallow me and anybody else up whole at any moment. And to have that shift and change just over the idea of me being able to change my body was an amazing thing. But I want to be very clear that my initial response was that of horror. that of being scared and major anxiety over changing my gender. And I felt major anxiety over knowing that the person in my very first conversation about sexual reassignment surgery or sex change surgery, that person that my parents and brothers and sisters was talking about was going through the kind of bigotry that was being heard in that vehicle that I was sitting in. So anyways, that was my experience coming out, or not coming out, but um, that was my experience realizing that I could actually transition. And this is as raw and as real as it gets, and this is the most accurate account that I can give of it. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope that this was helpful to somebody.